Yo, what's going on, party people? It's the kid, the one and only L Wavy Baby himself. You digging what I'm saying? Tapping in with y'all one time for the one time from Wavo World. You digging what I'm saying? As usual. So, as always, I gotta thank y'all, from tapping in from day one until today, and of course, many days ahead. You feel me? Today, as always, we're gonna jump straight into it. I'm not even gonna hold y'all long today. I feel like for what's on my head today, it can be covered shortly. However, I feel like it'll still be rather impactful based on, what life is bringing right now and what it actually looks like outside, the doors of your home, so I feel like it was imperative to talk about this today, right? So, as you can see on the board, I have Neuralink and Elon Musk, right? Very important, very, very important when you talk about what the future of the world and mankind, especially the United States, could be, and what is kind of been proposed into us, right? Then we have election year. I ain't even gonna describe that right now, but I will dive into that, right? And then last, I have wasting time on woke folk. That'll tie into everything that I'm talking about today, which is reason why it's at the bottom. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So we have Elon Musk and the Neuralink. So for those of you who don't know what Neuralink is, I'm only going to describe it from what I know and from what I saw in the mild, very, very mild research that I did do on it. And what I paid attention to, I want to say 2018-ish when he first brought it up or so. It was sometime around the time where Uzi was promoting the diamond in his head, and he was cool with Elon, and they were talking about he wanted to be the first rapper to get it, right? But anywho, that might have been around 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. But Neuralink is basically a piece of technology in the form of a chip that Elon has developed to be inserted into the very base, I think, of people's brains. And when you think about what is named Neuralink, if you know anything about science of the body, the word neuro is speaking directly to your neurological system, which is the brain. So being able to have access into your brain by way of a software device in that chip. And the link is obviously linking the two, the technology. And it's just like what it sounds. I don't know if anyone remembers when they talked about the Google glasses and the idea of being able to like make phone calls and browse the website right there from your glasses. I wish I had mine on for the sake of being able to describe it, but I don't today. I didn't want to wear them. But yeah, so he'd been testing it on like monkeys for a while, and the chimps had seen him make a lot of progressive, just a lot of progress, right, to the point where they want to make it available for human testing here soon, from what I saw and read. And I kind of think back to a few different scenarios and movies when I think about the technologies he's releasing to the public at this point in Neuralink. I think back to iRobot. I think to a movie. Well, let's start with iRobot. iRobot, the basis of was a guy, created this fleet of robots that were supposed to serve the people, and whether it be for purposes of being a maid, a chef, a cab driver, a chauffeur, whatever have you. That's what the purposes of the robots in our robot were specifically for. Until I don't remember if they gained a consciousness or the one gained a consciousness, but the technology overall backfired on them, and the there was no way to control the robotics as a whole that had been given a command to do a specific thing. So they essentially turned into a group of soldiers, a group of uncontrolled soldiers at that. So that's the first thing I think too. And then I think about the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, how the technology developed so far to a point where they were able to solve crimes before they happened because they could see everything first person through a person's view, like direct view, like everyday life. Like my eyesight is a camera, right? Just like my brain takes the pictures, it's almost as if they were logging it into this cloud of information to see and monitor security, right? That's the second one I think of. And then the third one I think of is it's not a movie, it's a series. And it's crazy because I wasn't heavy into it, but I just scrolled across it one night and I popped on this episode. And it's a series called Black Mirror. Excuse me, y'all. But Black Mirror. And there's a not a TV show, but an episode of it where there's these two older ladies. They are, I want to say, in like these nursing homes, but the nursing homes have a technology to plant them in, like it's almost like a virtual reality place that they can go to escape the realm of reality and body that they're in pain for X amount of time throughout the day or night, depending on how sick you are. And excuse me. So within it, the show doesn't even start off like that though. Well, that episode, it starts off with these two younger girls, or this younger girl who goes into a bar, and she's, like you can tell she's nervous or hadn't really been out much or whatever have you, new to the world, so to say, right, young, hadn't experienced much. And she bumps into this other girl, and they ended up having, hitting it off and having a good, good old time in relationship, as far as like them being friends at that point. But then it turned romantic at some point, which really isn't the basis or point of what I'm getting at. At some point, they begin to mention through dialogue that they only have but X amount of time to enjoy the night or enjoy their time together, because in the nursing home, in order to keep the patients from losing their grip on reality and will to live, they wouldn't give them but so much time in the realm or space that they would send them to in consciousness, which was this place that they can go party and be young again. Now, at first this seemed like a scramble of thoughts, but when I recognized that the reasoning why they were giving these women, these ladies, these people in the nursing homes, these privileges or rights to this type of technology to free themselves, is because they were on their deathbeds and they were being given an opportunity to test out a technology where their consciousness could be stored into a chip, which is the base of the technology that they were using. It was just an ear implant at first, but they could store their the consciousness into a chip based on their experience had there, if they liked it or not, and they could then basically just place it into another body, but it's like it was into this large hard drive. They can place this chip of their consciousness into this large hard drive where they could live out an alternate reality within basically a matrix, but their consciousness never died. it was just placed into a software instead of their spirit actually being able to leave and transcend and ascend on to the next realm, which wherever we go, right? And again, when I think of Neuralink, I think of those type of suggestive programmings that they've been kind of flickering onto us. So then to say that the technology has now become available to do these types of things, because a lot of how they're promoting it, from when I look at it, is like, imagine being able to think of your favorite song and then log it right in your head and see it and then be listening to it without headphones type of thing. So when I think of something that I don't know, I feel like it breaches my privacy, because where is this information been stored and logged to? Does it go to a cloud? You know, they always, all I can tell you is that they always give it to us in a way that seems enticing, not even knowing it's the ultimate demise of us when you talk about a lot of technology that we have. But I don't want to get too deep into that, but just I feel like we should be posing those thoughts instead of just being so quick to pick it up like it's another like it's another fad or just like another computer or something. We should really be considering what we're doing with some of the technologies we are getting into for the advancements that we're having, right? It's like imagine being given the Neuralink chip and it's advertised to you. Excuse me. You're a person that likes to game. You're a person that's into virtual reality and augmented reality gaming, and it's advertised unto you that you could just tap into the system in a real world scenario without even putting on the headset or tapping or actually buying a video game. You just download it for whatever the ease of access is then at that point. And then imagine at some point being trapped into it and you can't get out of it because the technology is lodged or then one with you. Yeah, so it's a word for this. What's it called? Oh my goodness. It's a word for that. Basically transhumanism. It just sounds like they're ushering in a means of transhumanism. And again, do your research on that. That's something that you should be looking into for the times that we're in. So, boom. Election year. Let's think back. Let's think back real quick, and I'll just think back to the last election year, and if I can, I'll try to think back to the one previous to that or prior to that too. But look at the climate of the nation right now, and the battles and struggles that we're facing, right? And then the climate of the world and the battles and struggles that we're facing, as a unit across the world. A lot of things that are going on in the US are touching everyone else. Well, I'll say it actually vice versa. A lot of things that are going on in other countries are starting to touch home in the States here. When you talk about the divide, when you talk about larger battles in between us in the fight and battles of like religious views and perspective, we're starting to fight more on those principles and things too. And when I think back to last election, which was 2019 time frame, we were dealing with coronavirus, COVID-19, and I don't think it ironic that during that time, one of the largest political conversations was over what party had the better solution to the coronavirus epidemic. And it's like, when I think about in short, so I don't take too much time, just pause in thought. In short, what it's just, and I'm thinking of a way to describe it, because that's it kind of was the tip of the iceberg, because it went from coronavirus being the issue, people, people being frantic about being healthy, and then the debacle over what was the best solution as far as like a cure, and then people being forced to stay home, and then the border control at the time, because we were looking at possible martial law based on a lot of different things at that time too. Then people couldn't even use money. There was coin shortages and people were afraid to use actual paper monies, but nobody paid attention. It was all during the time of election year. So when you think about the choices we made, a lot of our ideas and thoughts were skewed at that time just based on fear-based thinking. Same thing is kind of going on now. So and it's just funny, we're at the top of the year. Election is in November. And it's starting to look janky already. If you're one of those people, or a few of those people who pays attention. I'm not so much of a person who watches the news for sake of choosing a side, having so much of a great opinion on left or right. I'm watching to pay attention to know how to move. A lot of information be in plain sight, but a lot of it can go over your head. And the reason why I say this is because at the end of the day, these two parties, it's a job for them, just consider that. So divide and conquer. That's how we're conquered. But I know behind closed doors, these people have to fool with each other. That's something to consider too. But I won't get too deep in that either, because then at that point, that's me throwing an opinion on you guys, which is something I don't believe in doing. All right, we're going to stick to facts. And then again, I plan on keeping today short, because I might even keep it at around 20-25 minutes altogether. But last I said, wasting time on woke folk. So true conscious people know what I mean when I have these type of conversations, which is why I won't waste too much time on it in the sense of, in the nature of preparation, because if you're a person who's conscious to this and able to see it through certain eyesight, through that certain eye, there's a certain lifestyle that you're living in preparation to be able to see these type of things, to know what else to do, because the masses can't see it. When you talk about being woke, which I don't like that label being placed upon me, because when I think woke, I think the fad and trend of wearing the bracelets and being into crystals and not even knowing what none of it means. I don't bother explaining a lot of that stuff to people, because it's just a trend. Most people aren't even using these energies for what they're for. Don't even understand how. So, or won't even bother to go learn. So being conscious is so much more than those things, but it's only being advertised as a one-way view of life. So I don't waste my time in woke conversations. It actually agitates me because there's bigger things going on around us to be aware of. And it's like the one thing people don't really hold much weight to in becoming conscious and living a real spiritual lifestyle is understanding that the spirit is in all things, whether it be up or down, as in the perception of how you see it. Whatever team you play for, so to say, in there, there's people that came here to do a specific task. And that's what tapping in the higher self is and means. I'm not the most conventional person when you talk about way of life, but when you talk about the actual, you know, intellect that I have in understanding what these things mean and how to live it and how I go about, presenting it in life. You have to, you just, I guess what I'm saying is I'm differentiating myself between, that those group of people who will lump me into the woke community. I just don't want to be labeled as that. And I feel like I've said it before, but now more than ever is the time to differentiate and decipher in between the two, because true consciousness is not only under attack, but it's being used and it's being propagated and pushed as woke. And you get lost in that, it really can be the worst thing for you. I push for people to learn this thing for self, in whatever facet that means for you. And when you talk about how heavy and how strong the vibration and frequency is now, the outpouring of this knowledge and information, it could either propel you upward or it could be your demise. So be careful. Definitely be careful. But yeah, like I say, I do not plan on keeping it long today. I just wanted to touch on that because you guys are going to hear so much about the Neuralink in coming days and coming months. And, we're bound to see a billion different things happen this year during the election year. That's going to throw us off. Stay focused. Whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, keep it in mind and keep in your subconscious mind that the distraction is there on purpose. This is the time to do it. This is the easiest way to do it, but that's part of the means of control too. That's one of the most divisive means and tools that they have. So just be aware how it's being used against you too. So yeah. And of course, always, that's to my conscious people. To anyone else, they probably will not understand what we're talking about, right? But yeah, I just kind of wanted to hit on that briefly for the week. I also want to say this too. I have something very in depth being plotted out to speak on it here real shortly. So another reason why today's, tap in or touch bases, should I say, it's short, is because there's a lot of things going on in Wavo World that actually need to be cultivated and paid way more attention to. But I didn't want to go past this without it being said, you know what I mean? So yeah, pardon me if you feel like this was rushed, but at the same time too, not all things need to be harped on so much so, but yeah. Above everything, y'all stay up, y'all stay safe, y'all stay prosperous. You dig? Love.